Have you ever watched someone's face go blank at the very moment they should be furious? If that someone is an INFJ, you should worry, because when an INFJ is hurt deeply, you won't see an outburst of rage. No yelling, no dramatic showdown. Instead, you'll be met with calm, an eerie, heavy calm. It's the kind of silence that feels like something inside them just died, and in a way, it has. In that quiet moment, the INFJ isn't forgiving you. They're erasing the version of you they once trusted. INFJs don't explode. They quietly rewrite you internally, and the shift is so subtle. You might not realize you've been emotionally deleted until it's far too late. It's a silent heartbreak, and it's more unsettling than any scream could ever be. Imagine confiding your darkest secret to someone you thought would guard it with their life, only to discover they betrayed you. Most people would confront, cry, maybe slam doors, but if you're an INFJ, you're likely doing something very different. Swallowing the pain in silence as something inside you hardens. Your friend asks if you're okay. You force a polite smile and say, "I'm fine." But inside, your heart is pounding, your mind is racing, and an emotional alarm is blaring. That alarm is telling you one thing: it's not safe. They're not who you thought they were. In that moment, an INFJ's emotional world splits in two, before and after. Before, you were cherished. After, you're a stranger wearing a familiar face. No announcement, no explosion, and just an invisible reclassification of who you are in their story. The quiet reaction, what it means to rewrite someone. To outsiders, it might seem like INFJs handle hurt too well. They might say, "Wow, you're so calm about it," not realizing that calm is the last thing an INFJ feels. It's more like a numbness. Here's the INFJ paradox: externally composed, internally combusting. When conflict or betrayal strikes, many personality types fight back. INFJs, one of the rarest personality types, roughly 1–2% of people often respond differently. We freeze you out emotionally, not out of malice, but out of self-preservation. An INFJ might simply fall quiet, withdraw into their thoughts, or even treat you with extra politeness, all to keep the peace externally while they process the hurt internally. One writer describes how an INFJ may even become extremely courteous or polite during this time, using politeness as a mask while internally detaching. It's a coping mechanism. By acting fine, we avoid further conflict or drama. But behind that courteous smile, the INFJ is busy rewriting the story of you. It's as if a trusted character in their novel just revealed themselves to be a villain. And now the ending has to change. This isn't a conscious plot or revenge scheme. It's a reflex of the INFJ's nature. Most INFJs absolutely loathe confrontation. Raising our voice or lashing out feels wrong. It clashes with our deep desire for harmony. So when someone hurts us, our first instinct is often not to fight, but to analyze, to understand why, and to see if the relationship can be saved. We'll likely give gentle hints of discomfort, maybe even try to talk it out calmly, because INFJs cherish their relationships. And we'll usually attempt open communication or set boundaries before resorting to anything drastic. But if those attempts are ignored or met with more hurt, something in us shifts. Why INFJs door slam instead of explode? In the INFJ community, this silent withdrawal has a name: the INFJ door slam. It's a famous or infamous concept describing how INFJs cut someone out of their life, usually permanently, after a long period of hurt. Now, door slam might sound sudden or aggressive, but often it's neither. In fact, one INFJ explains that the process can be so gradual. The other person may not even know they're being door slammed. The INFJ may just fade away without anyone noticing. Contact will slowly become infrequent until the other person realizes they're no longer there. No big fight, no dramatic proclamation, just ghostly quiet distance. Why do INFJs do this? From the INFJ's perspective, by the time it reaches that point, they feel they have no other choice. It's not done on a whim or as petty punishment. It's a last resort self-defense mechanism. Think of how much it takes for a gentle, understanding person to finally say enough. INFJs are known for being compassionate, patient, even long-suffering friends and partners. We forgive and forgive until we can't. We're often the confidants, the listeners, the ones who sense others' needs and try to meet them. That kindness, unfortunately, can attract people who take advantage of it. Toxic individuals, energy vampires, manipulators. And over time, these people might keep hurting an INFJ, believing that the INFJ will tolerate it to keep the peace. And honestly, many INFJs will tolerate a lot. We give second, third, fourth chances. We internalize our frustration. We might even rationalize others' bad behavior, thinking they didn't really mean it. Or if I just empathize more, I can help them. But every person has a limit. INFJs can only take so much pain or manipulation before the scales tip. And when that last straw finally lands, perhaps after repeated broken promises, insults, betrayals, or a pattern of disrespect, the change is swift and definitive. It might look like this. One day, you're arguing with an INFJ and you notice they suddenly go quiet. They stop defending their position. They nod and say, "You're right, it's fine, don't worry about it." They might even concede points in a discussion that they actually care about. This easy concession can be a huge red flag. It often means the INFJ has secretly decided it's not worth the fight. They're pulling their emotional investment out, like withdrawing all the money from a failing bank. It's a sign the INFJ is done explaining themselves because they believe it won't make a difference. In their mind, they've already written an ending to this story, agree to disagree, then quietly exit. From that point on, the INFJ's behavior shifts in subtle but unmistakable ways. Maybe they still smile at you, but it no longer reaches their eyes. They'll be busy more often. Calls and texts will be answered slower, with fewer words, or not at all. If you confront them, they might politely say, "Oh, I've just been busy, tired." They won't tell you outright, "I've lost my trust in you." Because for an INFJ, that admission could spark exactly the kind of confrontation and charged emotions they try to avoid. Remember, INFJs detest causing pain as much as they hate feeling pain. So instead of lashing out, they choose a controlled, quiet retreat. It's tidy, it avoids drama, and it protects their wounded heart behind a wall of silence. As one source notes, an INFJ door slam often seems like the only solution to a hurtful relationship. It's about them protecting themselves and their mental health. Self-preservation becomes the priority, even if it means you're cut out, clean and swift. Inside the INFJ brain, the neuroscience of a silent break, what's happening beneath that calm exterior? To truly grasp why INFJs rewrite people internally instead of exploding, we need to peek into the brain and heart of an INFJ during those pivotal moments. Firstly, let's talk amygdala, the brain's threat alarm center. Whenever we experience a betrayal or deep hurt, INFJ or not, our amygdala goes on red alert. It slams on the alarm button and doesn't let go, flooding the body with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. In a major betrayal, your brain literally thinks you're in danger. It triggers a fight, flight, or freeze response to survive the emotional blow. Now, for an INFJ who values harmony, fight is usually the least likely response. Many INFJs choose flight or freeze, or a combination of both. So while outwardly the INFJ seems composed or detached, internally their amygdala is firing, their heart might be racing, and their stomach is churning from that cortisol spike. They're in survival mode, but trying not to show it. That internal alarm also kicks off a process of intense memory and meaning reevaluation. The hippocampus, the part of the brain that files away memories, gets overwhelmed. Normally, we file memories neatly. This person is safe, this person is kind, but betrayal scrambles those files. The brain can't neatly file the memory of being hurt by someone you trusted because the amygdala keeps flagging it as active threat. Do not file away. So what happens? The INFJ's mind starts replaying everything, every conversation, every red flag that was overlooked, every promise that now rings hollow. This isn't a conscious choice to ruminate. It's the brain desperately trying to make sense of what changed, to update the mental model of the world. Psychologically, it's a form of cognitive dissonance. The INFJ believed, I'm safe with this person. Now evidence says I'm not. And the brain is scrambling to reconcile those two realities. It's exhausting, disorienting work, and the INFJ often does it alone, in the sanctuary of their own mind. Here's where the INFJ's famous empathy comes into play, and it's a double-edged sword. INFJs are often highly empathetic. We're the types who can feel what someone else is feeling, sometimes even absorb others' emotions. Neurologically, this is linked to the mirror neuron system, special brain cells that fire not only when we experience something, but also when we see someone else experience it. They're a cornerstone of empathy. Your brain mirrors the pain or joy of others. INFJs could be thought of as having an amplified mirror neuron response. We're emotional sponges, constantly soaking up the feelings in the room. One article noted that our acute emotional permeability might indeed be tied to this mirroring mechanism. So what does that mean when someone we love hurts us? It means we don't just experience our own betrayal. We might even empathize with the person who hurt us. It's like feeling every side of the betrayal at once, an emotional overload. Our mirror neurons have been bonding us to this person all along. Now suddenly those same neurons might make us feel their coldness. That empathic link becomes agonizing. And so to protect ourselves, an INFJ will effectively shut down that link. We stop empathizing with the person who hurt us as a form of emotional self-defense. This is crucial to understand. When an INFJ does a mental rewrite of you, they're also reconfiguring their empathy. They likely go from caring deeply about your feelings to a state of near indifference. In practical terms, you'll notice the INFJ's warmth is replaced by a polite chill. They might still be kind. INFJs don't usually turn into overt jerks. Courtesy remains, sometimes even more so, but you will feel the difference. It's as if the INFJ flipped a switch and no longer resonates with you emotionally. That empathic mirror that once reflected your joy and pain back to you is now turned off or pointed elsewhere. Now consider the default mode network, DMN, the brain's introspection engine. The DMN activates when we're not focused on the outside world, when we're daydreaming or reflecting, especially about ourselves or other people's minds. This network is responsible for all those times you replay conversations in your head or imagine future scenarios. After an emotional shock, an INFJ's default mode network goes into overdrive. The INFJ will retreat into solitude. We need alone time to process heavy emotions. It's like an emotional detox. And engage the DMN by default. We'll contemplate every angle. Why did they do that? Was it something I did? Is this a pattern? Our intuition, the knee or introverted intuition that INFJs lead with, works in tandem with this introspection, scanning through memories and impressions for hidden patterns or future implications. In other words, an INFJ's brain is busy constructing a new narrative about the person and the relationship. We're writing a new chapter labeled "After I Realized What You're Capable Of." During this period, an INFJ might appear aloof or lost in thought. Because they are. They're running simulations in their mind, picturing life with that person removed, or interactions where they keep things superficial to avoid further hurt. The DMN is especially active in understanding the perspective of another person or imagining different social scenarios. So an INFJ might even step into your shoes in their mind, trying to understand your motives. It's deep, often painful introspection. This intense reflection usually solidifies the INFJ's resolve. By the time we're done overthinking, and INFJs excel at overthinking, we've not only relived the hurt 100 times, we've also convinced ourselves that distancing or cutting off is the only viable path forward. The emotional reclassification is complete. You've gone from trusted inner circle to outsider. It's not that we necessarily think you're an evil person. It's more that our trust is shattered and our mind has relabeled you as unsafe for my heart. And once that label is set, INFJs rarely go back on it. As one source bluntly put it, after enough hurt, an INFJ will act as if that person no longer exists to them. It's a protective numbness. Now, this all sounds very clinical when we break it into amygdala, mirror neurons, and DMN. But in the moment, it just feels like hurt and numb and done. An INFJ friend of mine once described it like this: I didn't explode or cry. I just felt this door in my heart slam shut, and I knew I'd never open it again for that person. That inner door slam is quiet, but it's absolute. It's the culmination of the brain chemistry and the INFJ's personality wiring. It's our survival strategy when staying engaged hurts more than walking away. Before we continue, I want to speak directly to you. If you're hearing all this and thinking, wow, this is exactly how I operate, I have something that might speak to you. I run a free email community called Off the Algorithm. It's basically our little sanctuary away from the chaos of YouTube and social media feeds. It's completely free, and it's where we can delve even further off the beaten path. Let's get back to the heart of the matter. So what happens after an INFJ has mentally rewritten you? What does life look like on the other side of that silent door slam? For the INFJ, once the decision is made, there's often a sense of grim resolve. We stick by it. INFJs are judging types, which means once we make a decision, we tend to carry it out decisively. In practical terms, the relationship shifts to a superficial gear or ends entirely. If we must still see the person, we keep interactions to the bare minimum and remain politely distant. The deep trust is gone and we won't pretend otherwise. It's as if we've mentally filed that person under do not engage deeply, and we abide by that file. Interestingly, one sign that you've been door slammed is uncharacteristic politeness. The INFJ treats you almost like a stranger, which is a stark contrast to their warm care. They're no longer trying to understand you because they've gathered enough evidence to know what they need to know. In a word, they're done. For the person on the receiving end, this can be bewildering and painful. One day you had an attentive partner, the next you feel like you're talking to a polite stranger. You might sense something is off, but when you ask, the INFJ says, "Oh, nothing, everything's fine." That is infuriating. Being denied a confrontation or even an explanation. Important distinction, in most cases, the INFJ's intention is not to hurt or manipulate, it's to protect themselves. We retreat into our heads to avoid saying something we'll regret. That quiet withdrawal is often an INFJ trying to stay in control of a situation that internally feels very much out of control. However, from the outside, it absolutely can look like we vanished or we're stonewalling. If you ever find yourself on that side of an INFJ's wall, the truth is you may not be able to breach it. Could an INFJ change their mind? Possibly, in rare cases, but reconciliation is hard. Undoing a door slam took years and a lot of honest conversation to rebuild trust. By the time we cut someone off, we've usually exhausted all other options in our mind. We feel justified in walking away permanently. Emotionally, the INFJ will likely process a mix of relief and grief. Relief because the source of pain is now out of their life. The cortisol can finally drop. But also grief because INFJs love deeply. There may be moments when the INFJ quietly cries or mourns the friend they thought they had, the version of you that died when trust was broken. We INFJs have to heal from it, and often we do that privately. We journal, we read, we throw ourselves into solitude to get over the sting. Inwardly, it's rarely so simple. INFJs break the pattern with silence, and as a channel viewer put it once, an INFJ's silence haunts you. It forces you to reflect because they're not giving you closure. In a sense, INFJs outsource the closure to you. You have to figure out why they left. This might even be a subconscious hope that the person will do some soul searching. But we rarely expect them to actually change. By the time we walk away, our expectations are pretty low. Let's zoom in on this idea of rewriting someone internally. It's a poetic way to describe what is essentially a psychological process, reappraisal. In psychology, reappraisal means changing how you think about someone or something in order to change how you feel about it. INFJs excel at reappraisal for better or worse. When an INFJ decides to rewrite you, what they're doing is changing the narrative of who you are to them. Perhaps yesterday you were my closest friend who sometimes has flaws. Today you might become a lesson learned, someone I must love from afar for my own well-being. The INFJ will remind themselves of the reasons they need to keep distance. We will focus on the hurtful actions to reinforce our resolve. Whenever our softer side, which always wants to forgive, starts to whisper, maybe give them one more chance. In those moments, the cold, logical side of the INFJ, yes, it exists, our tertiary function, introverted thinking, for those MBTI enthusiasts, kicks in with a list of reasons and evidence. They did X on this date, they betrayed me then, they violated this boundary. We almost convince ourselves into emotional closure by building a case in our head. It's less about judging the person as wholly bad and more about affirming our decision. This is why I can't trust them. This is why I must move on. It's like writing an internal memo titled, "Why We Don't Trust So-and-so Anymore." And once written, that memo gets filed in the long-term memory vault. Neurologically, this is backed by the brain's desire to avoid pain. The amygdala that sounded the alarm initially will quiet down over time if we successfully avoid further triggers. So the INFJ tries to ensure they won't be triggered again by limiting contact. The brain's reward centers might even give a little dopamine for regaining a sense of control or safety by cutting the person off. Over time, thoughts of that person may still sting, but less so because the INFJ isn't actively investing hope or emotion into them anymore. In some cases, an INFJ might even experience something akin to emotional numbness when reminded of the person, a stark contrast to the warm feelings they used to have. That numbness is a protective adaptation. The brain has essentially recoded that person from friend to perhaps neutral or even threat, and our emotions follow suit. If you're an INFJ listening to this, you might be nodding sadly because you know how true this rings. You remember how someone went from Technicolor in your life to grayscale and how disorienting that was. It's almost surreal. How can I feel nothing or very little for someone I once cared so much about? You might even question yourself, am I cold? Am I heartless for cutting them off without a word? Believe me, you're not heartless. Your heart was so open and soft that when it was stabbed, you had to build a fortress around it. That's not cold, that's a survival tactic of the deeply caring. In fact, research on betrayal trauma shows the brain responds to deep betrayal much like it responds to physical pain. It's trauma. You're doing what anyone does when traumatized, protecting yourself and trying to prevent reoccurrence. Now, as we reach the closing thoughts of this exploration, let's talk about closure and growth. INFJs, how do we heal after we've slammed that door and rewritten someone's role in our life? And for others, what can you take away from this rare INFJ pattern? For INFJs, one challenge is that our approach can leave us with unresolved feelings. Because we often don't express our anger or hurt outwardly, those emotions can linger inside. We need to give ourselves permission to feel the anger and sadness in a healthy way, even if we never share it with the person. Journaling, talking with a therapist or a trusted friend, creating art, or simply allowing ourselves to cry in private. All of these can be avenues to let those emotions move through instead of stagnating. Remember that rewriting someone internally doesn't automatically erase the pain. You might have removed the source of new pain, but the old wounds still need tending. And INFJs can be so focused on moving forward quietly that we forget to tend to our own hurt. So, dear INFJ, don't mistake your numbness for healing. Healing is an active process. Give yourself that compassion you so easily give to others. For those who are not INFJs but have been on the other side of this, perhaps this video shed light on what really happened. You might realize, oh, they went silent because they were deeply hurt, not because they didn't care. If you ever hope to reconcile with that INFJ, understanding this pattern is key. Pushing an INFJ to immediately talk when they've withdrawn can backfire. They feel cornered. The INFJ door slam is often permanent, but if you truly seek to repair things, approach gently, acknowledge whatever mistakes or hurts occurred, and show genuine change. Only consistent, trustworthy behavior over time and respecting the INFJ's boundaries might reopen that door a crack. It won't be easy. INFJs don't owe you another chance, and many times they won't give it. But if they do, know that you've been given a rare gift and don't squander it. Prove that the new narrative they write about you can be different. Whether you're an INFJ or not, there's a universal lesson here about the power of quiet actions. Not all screams are loud. Sometimes a person's silence screams the truth of their pain and their decision. The INFJ's silent rewrite is a testament to how deeply betrayal cuts and how far we'll go to protect our inner selves. It may seem mature or stoic to those who witness it. Wow, you just walked away and didn't look back. But inside, we know the turbulence that came before that calm. We know the nights spent overthinking, the second and 10th chances we secretly gave in our hearts before we finally shut the feelings down. In the end, an INFJ's lack of explosion isn't a lack of feeling. It's the culmination of too much feeling for too long, finally funneled into a single decisive act of self-preservation. It's both a strength and, in some ways, a tragedy. If you're an INFJ, your ability to remain calm and kind, even as you internally enforce your boundaries, is a quiet superpower. It shows immense emotional intelligence and restraint. Yet don't forget that you deserve to be heard and understood too, even if it's after the fact. And if you're someone who has an INFJ in your life, cherish the trust they give you. It's rarer than you know. If an INFJ seems hurt or distant, don't dismiss it. Gently invite them to share. You might just prevent a door slam by showing you truly care. Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope this was more than just informative. I hope it was resonant. Before you go, I'd like to invite you to do a couple of small things. Please hit the like button, subscribe, share this video. Finally, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Take care, and remember, just because an INFJ's lips aren't moving doesn't mean their heart isn't speaking. Listen carefully to the quiet signs, and take good care of yourselves and each other. Until next time, stay insightful, stay empathetic, and I'll see you in the next video.